Hello and welcome to the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast, the go-to resource for women who want to grow a successful business. Our mission is to empower and support women on their entrepreneurial journeys by providing valuable insights, practical tips, and a supportive community of like-minded women. Each episode of the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast features interviews with successful fempreneurs, business experts, and thought leaders, as well as a solo episode from our host. That's me, Wonderful Morrison, brand and marketing coach, business expert, and online business educator. If you're already on your entrepreneurial journey and seeking to take your business to the next level, the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast has something for you. Join our community of empowered women and gain the knowledge, skills, and confidence you need to succeed in your entrepreneurial endeavors. Thank you for tuning in to the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Evolution of the Fempreneur. And today I am super excited to bring on my beautiful guest. She's very dear to my heart. I consider her one of my people. She is my person. However, I'm going to have her introduce herself to you, because I don't think I would even do it justice because I have so many adjectives to add next to her name.
I hope they're good ones.
But however, I will say this, about 8 months ago, I heard this language about positive intelligence and I was like, what is this thing? Right? And such as the universe will bring into your fold when you are asking for it, she pops up into my life and starts talking about positive intelligence. So I'm going to just stay there and introduce my very amazing friend, Sandy Stamato, my sales mental fitness coach. Welcome to the Evolution of the Fempreneur.
Thank you. I just love the name, just the evolution, because doesn't it say everything?
Right? Everything. Yeah. Because we are constantly evolving. And I think, at a certain age too, we think that's it, or the rest of the world thinks that's it for us.
Yeah, there you go. And it's like, surprise, we're here and we're better than you ever thought. So yes. I love this topic. I love anything that can highlight how there's no finish line to what we do. And I say that because I'm going to be 63 in a couple of weeks. And
woo, what a beautiful age.
Oh, I have to say, aging is the bomb. It is I love getting older. I was raised with a mother. I'll tell you what I do, but I have to tell you just as a footnote, because of just the word evolution, it reminds me so much of how my mom looked at age. When she was 40, she gathered all my sisters together and she goes, ladies, I got to tell you something. We're like, okay. She said, 40 is magic. And we're like, oh, okay, and it was like, I'm young. I'm like, whatever. But then when she turned 50, ladies, come here. And she talked about how 50s is just the beginning. It's like you're in your childhood or your old age or whatever she used. I don't know. And then 60 came along and then 70. And she she had, physical problems at 79. But she played tennis the morning that she
wow.
And then she fell that night and then, health and all that stuff. But up to that point, all I knew about age was that it was magical and that it just gets better. So
I love that story. Ladies, if you are feeling a little bit right now, like, oh my gosh, I'm 45. I am with your mom. I felt when I was in my 20s, I remember thinking, oh my God, 40 is so old.
I know.
When I hit 40s, I thought, this is the most amazing time of my life.
And then it's like 60 and you start talking to women that hit 60. And I think there's only been one woman I talked to that was like, but she's always felt that way about age. But the other women that I've talked to have been like, oh yeah, we're stepping into it. So that's a great segue into what I do, right?
Absolutely.
So I am a sales mental fitness coach, and sometimes I pinch myself because what I do is I help women transform their mindset and really help them rewire their minds. about how
Mm-hmm.
they feel about sales and how they feel about themselves as a salesperson, right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
huge. Because if you own a
Huge.
business, I don't care if you call it marketing, I don't care if you call it one-to-one connection, you are selling. It's not a dirty word. And so for me,
Right.
when I used to be a sales trainer back in the day, I was a corporate sales trainer. And I would watch this kind of very long introduction, but it's the best way to explain why positive intelligence is so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Is because I would watch these people that would come into my classes, and the minute I would say sales, pretty much women, some men, but for the most part, most of the women just went, their eyes, like they left the room. And then when I started working with entrepreneurs, they were gone before I even finished the E, in terms of sales.
Right.
Because it was like there's so much around it. So the reason why positive intelligence has helped me create this idea of being a sales mental fitness coach is what positive intelligence does is it rewires your brain. And what that really means is that if you think about all the chatter that happens when you get
Mm-hmm.
scared, and I'm saying universally when people get scared, and especially with sales, no matter where you are on the spectrum, whether you work for someone or whether you own your own business, sales is one of the toughest things that you do to keep the doors open, right?
Right. And
So
I
a
think
lot,
it just induces anxiety for
oh yeah.
women because we're all about friendships and collaboration and community trust. So we don't associate that with sales, even though we're selling all the time.
Unless you've been raised in the corporate culture, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I sold advertising and I trained advertising.
Right.
So if you're raised in there's no, I would say there's no bad dog here, but it's just what is. So the way
Mm-hmm.
it was in corporate culture is that it was a very masculine way of selling, which is that you do it this way. It's a closing technique. It's objection handling. It's, and good
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right?
Right. Important.
Important stuff, because selling is an art form. You need to know how to sell. You need to know that there's a
Yeah.
process like anything. But
Right.
what I found, circling back to the idea of female entrepreneurs, what I found is most of the women I worked with had never learned about sales. They didn't learn that it was a skill and that there's a process to it because they couldn't get past
Mm-hmm.
all the negative chit chat. Because
Mm-hmm.
sales is scary. It just is. You wake up and
Mm-hmm.
there's a real good chance you're going to hear no. Who wants to hear no,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So
Oh my
that's
gosh.
what positive intelligence does is it actually gives you the self-command in your brain to quiet that
Mm,
down so you can access the other part of your brain. And the other part of the brain in the world of positive intelligence, we call it sage, but sage is really wise, wisdom, right? And really what we're
mhm,
talking about is the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of our brain that is just kind of coming to the forefront. It's
mhm,
where all the yummy stuff hangs out. It's where those moments of like brilliant inspiration when you're in the shower and you go, "Oh my God, I should do that." Or you say something to someone and you're like, "Where did that bit of wisdom come from?" That's
mhm,
your sage. And so what this program offers people is a boot camp so that they can habitualize how to do this because you can have an aha and go, "Oh, that makes so much sense, Sandy. Please tell me more." And it's great. And then you go have lunch and you go listen to something else, right? It doesn't do anything. But the whole idea
right,
of this program and why I drink the Kool-Aid and why I love this program is it really gives people an experience with community. And because I work with women, so
mhm,
we do it with women with the latest technology. And they get a chance to really habitualize it, which means they can bring it into
right.
their lives immediately.
And
So
I
that's a
love
very
that word.
long description
Oh
about,
my gosh. But no, it's important to understand because I think that's the two areas of business women either avoid or cringe at this conversation is numbers and sales, right? But I like what you said about habitualizing because really so much of our evolution comes from habitualizing something.
right.
So tell us your journey. Walk us through what your journey was in terms of the evolution of being a, sales trainer for corporate to then becoming your own business
Ah,
and helping entrepreneurial women in the same exact process. Like what brought you there? What's that? Talk us through that.
I wish I could say it was like a Hallmark commercial, but it was not. And that's what I would coach a lot of people to say, pay attention to the universe, pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to that inner drum beat where you know it's like
Mm-hmm.
something's not right, listen to that. And the reason why
Right.
I'm saying that is because at 52, I was pretty much top of my game. I was in sales at that time, and I was mentoring women in sales, and I was at the top of my game, and as many women in their early 50s are, right? It was just like
Right.
everything was clicking. And I didn't pay attention to the 3 car accidents that I had where I got rear-ended because I was very
Mm,
important. I was always in a hurry. I had stuff to do. You don't get to be the top of the quote unquote food chain. See, this is corporate,
right.
right? They used to call me the machine. I mean, me. They used to call me the machine because I would
See
get
that
around.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, I was on it, man. And I didn't pay attention. I love myself for this. It's like there's no bad dog, but I didn't pay attention. And consequently, after the 5th or 6th rear end, I sustained a traumatic brain injury and everything stopped.
Ah.
So my evolution is, and what I'm finding out from women, I interviewed a lot of women after the fact, way after the fact, when I kind of got back to,
Mm-hmm.
ground zero, when I finally felt like I was back. I talked to a lot of women that had that same experience, like they had something like a divorce or health or
Mm-hmm.
something happen, a wake up call. So this tragedy of getting a traumatic brain injury, which is beyond terrifying. I don't wish that on
Mm-hmm.
anyone. They call it the invisible wound because you look
Oh.
fine, but you're not. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a time, and that was a
Mm-hmm.
time. I can't, that's a whole different podcast, but
Right. That's a whole nother
it's a
episode.
whole nother, but the reason why I say that is because that was the worst thing that could have happened turned out to be the best thing. And so when you talk
Mm-hmm.
about evolution, it's not like, oh, be-doop, be-doop, we don't do that,
Right.
the same job and we get the gold
Yeah.
watch, and we retire. So I had to reinvent myself. I had to go with, okay, Sandy, you can't operate like this anymore. You can't be a machine. You can't sell. You just
Mm.
can't. You don't have the wherewithal. You don't have the brain space. What can you do? And I was blessed that the right person said the right thing. And so I got into coaching, which I'd already been doing. And I've been a consultant
Right.
and all this stuff. So it was very natural for
Yeah.
me. But what I didn't know was what was going to open up as a result of coaching. And all of a sudden,
Mm.
for the first time, because there wasn't a lot of distraction, it's just me and you, I got
Yeah.
really present. And so my evolution has to do with not doing this, but doing this. And it was
Oh.
really different. It was very different, that path.
Right.
And there's so many stories that go along. And then it's like all of a sudden, it's like the right person said this, and I went this way. And the right person said
Right.
this, and I went that way. And my biggest battling, and I want to put this out to anyone, is that I felt flaky. I thought, oh my God, my business is called Limb Dweller Coaching for good reason. I mean, I'm always trying out different limbs, right? There's a story to that. But it's like I had to fight the judgment and the demons that would say, oh my God, you're a flake. What are you going to be this week, honey? And the reality was I was evolved,
Oh, ouch.
and it doesn't look pretty.
Yeah.
How we evolve sometimes doesn't look, we see maybe the makeup and we see this, all put together, but but to get here, man, earn your grit and own your grit, because that's what
Yeah.
happened for me. And then somebody said I was ready to quit coaching, and someone said at the perfect time, have you heard of Shazad Shamin? I was like, well, yeah, I use his book. I do voice dialogue. I was talking to women saboteurs. So I was already tuned into that, really tuned into it. And it turned out he had a grant program. So it was like, oh, here you go. When doors open easily, step through them. If it's
Right.
too hard, pay attention, right?
Right.
So
Well,
it's
and I love that. I love that transition of, I think that's another thing is when you said listen, not to just the internal heartbeat, but to the universe speaking to you in ways where when doors are easy to get through,
go,
that's a sign that that's the omen. Go
go,
through it.
go through
And
it.
so when you as you're having this journey, this amazing evolutionary journey, why go with of all the people you could support in sales and in positive intelligence, why women entrepreneurs? Why
Uh,
us? Why
uh,
us?
because age, yeah, I talked about age at the beginning. I love working with women that are of a certain age because I work with women that are, 45 is kind of the low side for me, that have lived their life long enough that they know, or they have a
Mm,
sense, or they have a calling to step into
mm-hmm,
something else. And if what's getting in the way is sales, oh, sweetheart. Oh,
mm,
sweetheart, you got this huge gift to bring to the world, and you're letting this thing, this old story, this stuff that you don't
mm-hmm.
even know if you own it, whether you believe it. That's getting in the way of this amazing gift you have. I am so called to do the work I do because positive intelligence at the end of the day is about peace. It is about
Mm,
peace. It is about
mm,
self-love. It is about loving oneself enough that you know that you are like, this is what I want to do. I want to make a difference in the
mm-hmm.
world. I want to leave a legacy for my kids. I want this to mean something. This is the
Right,
last wave of my career. I want it to mean something, right? And what
right,
positive intelligence does is gives you that chance to go, you know what? That's what I want. But my saboteurs keep saying this, and my saboteurs keep saying that. And it's not an intellectual process. This is
mm-hmm.
like you rewire your brain. It's like you notice it, you do a brain hack, and then you tap into like, how am I gonna navigate this? How am I gonna do this?
Right,
And it's like there's
right,
this, and I used to tap into this a lot in my past life. I would do a lot of vision boards with my clients, and I would do a lot
mm-hmm.
of things that would help them tap into like I didn't know what to call it. But we would do like
Mm-hmm.
gratitude practices for 2 weeks so that we could activate this part of our brain. I never, and there's a lot of books about
Right.
it and positive psychology and all this stuff, but I just went with my gut. And to be able to do in mm, 30 seconds what used to take 2 weeks by my own power to be able to do that and tap into something that is so much bigger, to bring that to female entrepreneurs who have something to bring to the world. I pinch myself because I do sales through the lens of positive intelligence, and that is everything. So
I love how you say you bring the lens of sales through positive intelligence because I think that there's so much. I mean, one of the biggest names out there is Grant Cardone, right? And he's on everything. He's on,
right.
but it's a little, when I was going through all of that, I thought, oh my gosh, it's a little more abrasive than what I would like, but that's really the only thing available that's out there. And that's not true. That was the biggest reason I wanted to get you on here is because my this podcast is aimed for women 40 plus years in business, right? 40 plus years in age and in business. So
Absolutely.
fempreneurs. And I really feel that there's so many different stages of where you want to create that impact, right? Because in the beginning, it's all about the development and then it's about the growth. But the whole process can't be measured unless you're selling your services and products. Like business is not business if you're not making money,
No, it's a
right? It's
hobby,
a
and
hobby.
I hated when
Yes.
people used to say that. It was like, that's what my accountant back in the day would say. He'd say, "Sandy, I
Right.
work with these women, and it's a hobby, and they're putting all their
Right.
energy, all their money into this, and they can't sell their way
Right.
out of the brown paper bag."
Yes.
And
And
because oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying because and that's really the biggest issue that I see it not just in the women I work with, but in my own self. Because the I mean, I'm not dating myself here, but the way I learned sales is so archaically.
Oh, yeah.
The process is so archaic. It can't be used today. And so I'm having to organize those thoughts. And then I met you and I thought, oh my gosh, what a relief. What a relief because we can't pursue and want what we want for impact in the world and also feel depleted because we're not gaining the value monetarily for that, right? And it's not about the money. That's not what it is. I'm not driven by that in any way. 90% of women in our age group are not driven by money when it comes to business. But do we want it? Absolutely.
Absolutely, 100%.
Let's talk about that for a second. Let's
Yeah.
be for real.
So I want to say too, you brought up a really good point. So my program is called Sage Selling. And right away with the name of it, it weeds out people that are like, I don't want that, which is awesome. Cool. There's a
Right.
lot over there. I created Sage Selling, which is a radical approach to sales, because women don't sell the same way as men do. And I think a
Right.
lot of men don't want to sell the same way they've been selling. But that's
Hmm.
what was out there. And COVID
Yeah.
change was a huge game changer. Who has time for
Yeah.
BS? I mean,
Right.
it was like, who's got time? And I don't, you know, you spend enough hours on Instagram and you watch enough TV, people got really well versed on what slimy sales is about. We don't need
Right.
that. You know what we need? We need people that want to bring their gifts to the world, but you can't keep your door open if you can't sell. So I used
Right.
to do
Oh my
things like,
gosh.
let's change the word sales. And it's like, let's not. Let's
Hmm.
actually, we're not going to change who you are, but we're going to tap into whatever it is that is bigger than your fear. And let's
Right.
create a new story about that.
Right. Let's
Let-
redefine sales, not change the word sales.
Yeah. And it's like,
Right.
let's work with you. Let's do something radical. Let's not let the tail wag the dog anymore. Let's do something radical. We've got these amazing brains. I found out through my
Hmm.
brain injury that my brain can change because it had to. I could not
Mm.
remember how to do things. And I cannot tell you how terrifying that is. But I remember
Mm.
that feeling when all of a sudden, and I was really blessed. I had the trifecta of amazing care in Seattle. Great place to get a brain injury, by the way. But
In
anyway,
case.
in case, yeah. But I mean, I just really, I mean, so I know what it feels like to learn something new. And it almost feels like my
Mm.
brain's going, Well, that's what we're
Hmm.
doing in positive intelligence, is we're literally opening up different parts of our brains that never get any practice. But the
Right.
self-command, I mean, I can't tell you, like before doing this, right? Because this could be
Hmm.
considered sales, right? Hopefully, there's people out there that are going, Sandy, I want you what you have. That'd be great, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm there, I can't be here with you. If I've
Hmm.
got my story going about how good I have to sound and what happens if I don't get that, and by the way, I got the bills coming up. Don't say sales because sales freaks. If that's all going around, there's no here. There's no like,
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? It's like,
I love that so much because these are the conversations that I think as women entrepreneurs, we need to really keep in the forefront of conversations because, Eckhart Tolle made huge waves in the
oh yeah,
world with the whole be
power
present
of
now,
now.
right?
Yep.
Now, now, now. We know that logically, but how do you do it physically? How do you embody now as an entrepreneur when you've got eight things going on every minute? Like the to-do list for an entrepreneur is ridiculous. VA, no VA, team, no team. It is a plethora of to-dos. And when you said, how can I be here when I'm over there?
Right.
That's kind of the life of entrepreneurship. And as a
Absolutely.
woman, that's even we have 10 times more
And
things,
then we're
right?
worried about the feelings of everybody. And it's like,
Yes,
God,
like
I'm exhausted. Yeah.
and then that's really what I have loved about positive intelligence is when I first heard it, honestly, here's my thought, like, ooh, I'm intelligent and I want to be positive.
Isn't that the truth though?
Yes. So, but I wanted to associate it together, and I thought, oh, this is really good because I'm already emotionally intelligent. Let's be
Do you know
these are
what
the
you
things
know
what
what?
we talk about to ourselves, like, and then I realize it's this habitual being present. What
Oh,
I'm habitualizing is being present in every conversation, which makes selling not selling, but
no.
I'm
No.
selling more. So
Right.
it's like this whole
Right.
it's a radical approach, like you said, because what we thought was sales is not what sales really is.
You
And
know
now
what?
I'm learning a different way.
It's not. I get so excited when
Yeah.
I hear someone like you talk about that because that's just it. It's like here's how I pose it to people that are like, well, because our brains, it's like who's the master and who's the servant, right? We've spent so much
Yes.
time thinking our intellect is the master and our intuition, that gut feel is our servant. It's the other way around. And that's where
Hmm.
we've got it a little confused. Where the powerhouse is here, is where
Right.
all innovation, where creativity, where all that is. And I say that because my favorite salespeople are when I don't even know what the hell they're selling. I just go, I don't know what you're doing over there. It's like, I want some of that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right?
I mean, I've had people say to me in my life, I don't know what you're selling, but where do I sign it? And you're like, no, no, really, let's kind of wait a minute here. And not
Yeah,
always, that's when I was in my sage without knowing I was in my sage. I felt it, you know. But
right.
imagine doing that intentionally, not with any
Yes.
not with any manipulation or any, but because you want some peace in your life. You want to have a conversation with someone because you want
Right.
some peace and you want to have some gratitude and you want to see, this is my favorite. You want to give people an opportunity to say yes. And if I'm not it for them, I'd love to refer you to a few people. That
Right.
is the
Oh,
land of beyond abundance. That is peace. That is like, that lines up with so many people's values. But that fear
yeah.
gets in the way, right? That fear of like,
Right.
and that's why positive intelligence in the moment, we have these little brain hacks. And I was going to say,
Right.
I'm going to put a little video on my website just showing people to take a breath. And I'll just do this with you for a moment.
Yes.
But it's an actual
Yes.
brain hack that stops it, but you have to notice it first. See, the problem is that most of
Right.
us have been so wired in with these saboteurs that we think that's who we are, but we aren't. Those are just, it's a
Yes.
machine that just like, okay, bloop, I'm going to say this. And I used to hear this stuff all the time, and I'd be like, oh, that's
Yeah.
fascinating. Tell me more.
Right.
Until I went through a boot camp and habitualized it for 6 weeks. And then now it's like I can hear when something's coming up. It's like, oh, oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
This is what I love. It's like, oh, you're gonna do this thing with Wonderful, right? You're gonna do a podcast. You know that you're probably gonna, your hair's gonna look ridiculous, or you're gonna choke, or you're gonna do that. And now when
Oh,
my
yeah.
good days, I go, what took you so long? Wait, you waited 2 minutes before? Usually you give 10 minutes of like angst. Come on, you're losing your touch. It becomes like this, it's not this adversarial, like most of the women I work with are so tired. They feel like they're
Mhm.
constantly struggling against, I want to be
Mhm.
authentic, I want to show up, I want to show my heart. Oh God.
Yes.
So there's this, it's exhausting. And to have
Mhm.
that clarity and that breath and just to be like, this is it. This is it.
Right.
This isn't world
Right.
peace. It's like I'm selling a program. This isn't world peace. It's like, okay, let me just see, let me talk to this person. And I wish it was like
Yeah.
that 24/7, but it's not. We're humans. We get hijacked all the time.
And that kind of leads into this question that I just thought of as I'm listening to you because I thought, oh my gosh, it'd be fascinating to hear from you who's been in the sales industry for so long and has really shifted the idea of what sales is for us women. So let's talk about what you believe is the evolution of wealth. Like, what do you believe wealth is now versus what it was when it was more based on the tangible monetary value of
Uh,
wealth? What is the evolution of wealth for you today?
ooh, um, that is such a good question. Honestly, after the brain injury, my husband got laid off work. It was a horrible time. I couldn't, I was so scattered. I was having outbursts. It was a horrible time. But I remember my sister is a real estate attorney, or was a real estate attorney, and she took Vin and I to the bank. She was helping us see if we could save our house. We didn't know if we were going to be
Mm,
able to save our house. And that was all about wealth to me, is your home, you
hmm.
own your home.
Right.
And and I remember she took us outside. We met with the banker, and we didn't know how it was going to go. And we had a cup of coffee, and I'll never forget it. And my sister, my brilliant sister Sean, said, "Sandy, this is the hardest conversation that I have with my clients, but I have to ask you, what makes a home? Does a house make a home,
Mm.
or do you two make a home?"
Oh.
When you ask me about wealth, when almost losing everything, wealth has a whole different meaning. Like I would worry about, oh my God, my 401k. There is a knowing inside of me that I'm going to do more than fine. Like
Hmm.
that uh, wealth, God, how do I say this with wealth is, I've almost lost everything. We were on food stamps. I don't talk about that very often. I grew up
Mm.
on Queen Anne Hill. I grew up in it,
Yeah.
prestigious family. We were on food stamps. I didn't tell people that. We were like,
Hmm.
and I remember thinking, if we lose the house, I still have my sweetie. I love this.
Mm.
I have my partner. I have my family. I have community. It's like
Hmm.
wealth is a whole different thing. Now, because I was on food stamps and because we were really nickel and diming it, I mean, and it was pride. I didn't want to ask anybody and I didn't know who I
Hmm.
was in the midst of all this. But the gift out of that is that today my evolution of wealth very little to do with the checking account. And I know people say that, but
Hmm.
I know that. I know that. And in knowing that, opportunities have opened up. I'm making more money now than I've ever made. I shouldn't say ever made, that's not true. But the ease in which I'm making money is
Mm.
astounding to me. Like the amount of money that I'm making, if we're looking at dollars and cents, compared to when I used to sell radio or when I worked in TV or when I did direct mail, any of that other stuff.
Training,
You have
yeah.
got to be kidding me. You have,
And I think you hit the nail when you said the ease in which you, because me too, right? Like, I think the word hustle has been a part of
yes,
our
I love when
language
people
for
talk
such
about
a long time.
that.
And I think now,
Struggle.
oh my gosh. And that really, that is such a great definition of wealth coming from somebody who has seen numbers larger than most of us will see in our lifetime, right? Because that's what selling air is.
Right. You make, yeah. I wish I could say I had those numbers, but they were the largest I'd ever seen.
Right, right. And I think I mean, really that's sort of like there's no comparing that because it's about the ease in which we're creating those numbers, but really wealth is so much more. And that was such a beautiful question. What is a home? What is wealth?
What is
Right?
a home? Yeah, what is
What,
wealth? It's
yeah,
like,
that's huge. That's a huge question I think we should ask ourselves pretty regularly because it's easy to get excited and caught up,
oh,
right?
it
And
feels
like, oh
great.
my
And
gosh.
then you get accolades. People go, Sandy, yay, you're on the board. Your quota is like this big. What are you doing for us next week? It's just like,
Right.
oh, so,
Yeah.
you know. But I was thinking about the evolution of wealth, and it's not something that was done to me. It wasn't something,
Mm,
you know, how do I explain it? This friend of mine, Sam, a couple, Sam and Suzanne are an amazing couple. I just love these two. And they mentored Vinny and I during this one period of our lives. And and I remember Sam saying, and this is what I took away. I think he says it's a different quote, but what he said that he and Suzanne started saying is good things happen for us. And
mhm,
I took that on. I took
mhm,
that on. I say that whenever I remember it. I'm putting post-its up. Good things happen for us. And I don't have kids. It's really easy for me to go, oh my God, I don't have kids. What happens when I get old? Well, I got a
mhm,
whole community of people.
mhm.
But I spent my life in like at 30 or 40 when I knew the kids weren't in the picture. Oh my God, what am I going to do without kids? I would
Right.
love to be, who knows how long, but certainly long enough older than that age. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like,
Right.
so
Right.
so it's these things that I know it's like, God, these things we tell ourselves. I had a mentor who told me, sorry, I'm on a real,
No,
okay,
keep going.
I'm on a, this
Do
is
it.
something that I just I feel called to say it. One of the things I notice when I work with female entrepreneurs is how the words that come out of their mouth about themselves, and we all do it. We're conditioned to do
Mhm,
it. We can't be show off. We
mhm,
can't pity party. It's selfish,
mhm,
yada, yada, yada. My thing was stupid. The word was stupid. Is
mm,
that I took it upon myself because I was, ADD, dyslexic when I was a kid, and
mhm.
they didn't diagnose that stuff back. Girls didn't get ADD or
Right.
hyperactivity. That's right. I was on the cusp. I was like, oh no, I wasn't on the cusp. However, so I thought I was stupid, right? And so this mentor of
Mhm.
mine, this amazing mentor, I remember she was my mentor for 25 years until she passed suddenly. And I remember Tracy one time, she looked at me and she said, you know what? You just called yourself stupid 3 times in a sentence. She goes, you done with that word?
Mm.
And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, you lost the right to use that word anymore. I don't want to hear that word out of your mouth. And I looked at her and she said it at the perfect time. And I went, okay.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
have not
Yeah.
done myself. I mean, every so often I slip. And I worked for ABC News. I worked for NPR. I worked with some really smart people. So it's funny how I sat up here, I thought I was stupid. And then I worked
Right.
for these like people that have these photographic memories. And
Right.
somewhere in the midst there, knowing that I couldn't say the S word anymore, it's a
Mm,
game changer. That's why I'm saying
game
like good things,
changer.
yeah, good things happen to us, but we got to dip our toes into the water. There's work to be done with ease, you
Right.
know?
Well, like the one thing that you have said to me again and again that I have a post-it note everywhere on that is what's the gift and opportunity? Because
Yeah.
I think for my personality, I go straight to like, oh my gosh, that's the worst thing. Now I gotta, rebuild. That's
Yeah.
like rebuild. It's
Oh
time for
yeah,
the
it is. Yeah.
struggle, rebuild.
Yeah.
But really, no, what's the gift and what's the opportunity? Is the opportunity showing up because you need to rebuild or to let it go?
Yeah.
I don't ask, I'm such a doer, I don't ask those questions. So
Yeah.
now I really so now as we are getting to the end of our conversation, let's say that there's somebody out there in the audience that's like, oh my gosh, Sandy, I think we live parallel lives. This is amazing.
Oh, I would love that. If they,
What would be if they felt like, okay, but I want to do this thing. I've got this burning desire inside to be more, give more, have just the opportunities in the world. What would you say would be the top three steps, three nuggets, three things that would set them up for
yeah,
to get to where you are right now?
yeah, great question. Number one, it's our saboteurs will sabotage us 9 times out of
Mm,
10. And if
mm,
they don't, we struggle, and we don't have to
mm,
do that. So the first thing I would say on my website, I have a pop-up now that says, um, do you want to do a saboteur assessment? And this is through
mm,
positive intelligence. And so I would do that to just read it and go, oh, because we all have them. This is universal.
mhm,
This is all science based. There's nothing airy fairy about this stuff. It's the real
mhm,
deal. And I would look at that and then follow up with me, and we can talk about the lies those saboteurs tell you. So number
mm,
one, because people spend more time picking out their fonts for their website or their business cards or whatever the hell they're doing these days than they do going, what's the baseline? What's going to get in the way?
mm,
Where am I on this? So I'm like,
mhm,
check out your saboteurs. Find out if any of that resonates. Two,
mhm,
follow up with me. It's complimentary. It's not, there's nothing snaky about it. If you want to work with
mhm,
me, great. If you don't, guess what? I get that too. There might be
mhm,
somebody else that makes sense. And the third thing is, and maybe it's really the first thing, but whatever. Third thing is listen. Listen, it is grace. When we get those moments of like,
mm,
hello, listen. You don't want to get cancer. I'm not saying this happens, but I can't tell you how many times I talk to people that had, car accidents or divorces or,
mm.
and sometimes it's just life quakes, something happened.
Right.
So it's like, why not have a little ease in your life and do it before it has to get louder?
Oh gosh. What great advice from our sage Sandy.
Mwah.
Because you really literally just put at ease that, I heard Oprah say it years ago when she's like, life is always whispering to us until it screams in your face. And I remember
And
thinking,
that's
oh,
the
what a great little
master.
thing.
Isn't it
Yeah,
amazing?
right.
Wouldn't it be something if we were able to have that part of our brain be the master and have
Mm,
our
mm,
intellect, which is amazing, be our servant? Not to say
right,
because it's like it's infinite. This has a very limited shelf life. It just does.
right. Yeah.
So,
And that's such an absolute, I don't want to say it like that's the end all be all, but it is though.
mhm,
It is. At
mm,
the end of the day, we are talking to women of a certain age, right? We can reinvent ourselves over and over again, but that reinvention isn't to keep figuring out how to fail necessarily. It's about how
right.
much more we can grow. That's really the reinvention that we're at in our life now. I feel like I'm speaking for all us women in
And
that
we
age
all
group.
thank you.
Because it's not about failing anymore. That's not
Mm,
even in the thought process. It's about growth.
yeah.
How much more can we reinvent for growth than it is in failure? So I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity to be in your space, to hear your wise words, and to get a little bit more knowledge on what positive intelligence is. Because if any of you out there are like me, where I heard it and it lit a light bulb, but I had no idea what it's about. I mean, I highly recommend chatting it up with Sandy just to get more clarity. If
Oh,
for nothing else than just get clear
yeah,
on what a saboteur is, because it's a real thing. It's a real deal.
yeah.
So thank you for the opportunity.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
for your
you.
energy.
Oh,
Thank you everyone who's listening in. We'll have all of Sandy's information in our show notes for you to connect with her. And
mm,
until next time, thank you so much. Bye everyone.
bye. Thank you.
Then Lead Her Biz Academy is the online business education platform for you. Our strategically minded and purpose driven approach will equip you with the tools, knowledge, and support you need to build a successful business and achieve your goals. Now, why women specifically? Because when women earn more money, we not only have more influence and choices, but we also create opportunities for others. And building a successful business allows us to support those we love and the causes we care about most. At Lead Her Biz Academy, we understand that women are already strong. That's why we focus on helping women unlock their authentic power and their capacity to attract wealth and impact other women. We believe that feminine presence is the key to unlocking your full potential as a successful female entrepreneur. So if you're ready to take your business to the next level and unlock your authentic power, join us at Lead Her Biz Academy. Let's make an impact and build profitable businesses together.
Thank you for tuning in to the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast, where we empower and support women on their entrepreneurial journeys. We hope you found value in today's episode and feel inspired to take action towards your goals.
At Lead Her Biz Academy, we believe that every woman has a potential to achieve her dreams and create a successful business. Our community of like minded women provides a supportive space for learning, growing, and connecting with other fempreneurs. If you're already on your entrepreneurial journey and seeking to take your business to the next level, consider joining Lead Her Biz Academy today. Our programs, courses, and resources are designed to help you develop the skills, mindset, and strategies you need to succeed in your entrepreneurial endeavors. Thank you again for listening to the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast. We'll be back soon with more insights and inspiration to help you thrive in your business and life.